Hi everyone, this is Arcadius and welcome back to Naval Creed. Today we will be reviewing the next American battleship, that being North Carolina, or as I have the sister ship, Washington. Now, North Carolina is the very beginning of the fast battleships of the American battleship line. So we're out of the slow ones that ended with Colorado. We now have Washington, Iowa, and Montana. And these are some of the best battleships in the game. And that's for a variety of reasons. But first, let's just take a look at the stats. So we have 68,700 health, 21% torpedo resistance. As you transition to the fast battleships, your torpedo resistance does go down quite a bit. So you do have to keep that in mind. You will take a lot more damage per torpedo, and the torpedoes at the higher tiers do have increased amounts of damage. You have up to 16 inches of armor. You have 12 inches on the belt, it says, a maximum of 16 on the turret faces, it looks like, and the barbettes probably. The armor on North Carolina is actually really, really good. I'm not quite sure how its setup is. I don't think it's a turtleback. Actually, can you tell? I think it's just the way that the citadel is. The citadel on the ship looks to be really, really low. Regardless if it is or not, it's actually very difficult to citadel the ship. It's not impossible. Just like German battleships, it's not impossible. But there's very rare times that you are actually able to citadel this, or at least in my experience, it is. That doesn't mean you can't take major chunk damage because you are a very long and thick battleship, but citadels, not so much. Alright, moving on. We have 16-inch guns, where Colorado had 8 of them. We now have 9 of them. 2 triple turrets in the front and 1 triple turret in the back. This rear turret, the gun angle is not the best, but it's actually not as bad as it may look. I'll show you in game. Gun range is 23.2 kilometers, which is mad far, and secondaries is 5.6 kilometers. And on each side, you have 5 double 5-inch guns, and that's on the other side as well. They're dual purpose as well. They're not so good as secondaries. The only good secondary American battleship, like I said, is Illinois, but that's because she has a focus for that. I mean, you can run secondary builds if you really want to. They have the number. You have, 10 shells or 5-inch shells per side. So that could be a good fire starter if you had it set up right. But it's up to you. I prefer the guns. And then for the speed, we have 27.5 knots, which may not seem like a lot, honestly, but it's actually pretty fast for battleship standards. A good tactic, or there's actually 2 ways you can play the ship. It's similar to Dunkirk in the way that you could just nose in and use your bow guns, because you have a really long nose and you could bounce quite a lot of shots. But, I mean, she's a fast battleship. You want to try and use her speed as best as you can. So trying to stay at max range and using your speed and maneuverability and range to your advantage is what you should most likely do. Her shell velocity does actually decrease, at least in armor piercing from Colorado, so keep that in mind as well. And then she does have a fighter, however, she only has 2 fighters, so you have to kind of use them sparingly. And now going on to the anti-aircraft defense. I don't have respect for AA fully. As you can see, I have her guns focused for accuracy. But even without that, her AA is still mad powerful. Look at these damages and the ranges. You can knock down a ton of aircraft with this. I think it's actually just a couple DPS different from Massachusetts. Yeah, it looks like the middle range damage is a little higher on this one, but that's alright. North Carolina has plenty of damage you can dish out to aircraft. It is definitely not an easy ship to attack with a carrier, and if there's more than one on the team, have fun getting through any of that anti-aircraft defense. I have run her as a full AA ship. which is entirely possible and fine. And I feel like I might go back to that once I have the accuracy skill. I think, yeah, I haven't started that yet. But once I have the accuracy skill, I might switch this back to AA enhancement and get the 7.2 max range AA for this ship because it's just fun to knock down planes and I love it. Alright, so now that we know a little bit about the ship, also the camo is pretty nice as well. Let's toss her into a game and see what we can do. Alright, here we have ourselves a game. We have a carrier, a bunch of battleships, 2 cruisers, and 1 destroyer. And a really good map, actually. So we're going to try and head to the left side, because I favor that side, honestly. And we're going to try and get some good broadsiding shots on these battleships. Also, you can see the range. Literally everything is already in range. I haven't checked it in a while, but there was at some point where it was either Washington or Richelieu had the longest range, and there was a change to one of their ranges. I think it was Richelieu's range. Not sure. So North Carolina may have the longest range for a matchmaking tier 8 battleship. I'm not entirely positive though. Regardless though, it is one of the top longest. Alright, so we're actually going to let all these battleships pass here. Funny thing is I've actually been on the real USS North Carolina. It was a long time ago, so I don't remember much of it, but we do have the pictures. Alright, so let's see here. Let's try and go for the tier pits. Now, I haven't played this ship in a while, so I'm going to actually have to get used to the shell velocity again. Yeah, that was definitely not enough lead. Alright, so we're going to have to get a little bit closer. There's another tier pits. Let's try this. That looks a lot better. Didn't hit many shells, but we at least hit the ship. So that's a good start. Okay, so gun angles. As you can see, right about there is where that rear turret is. It may look okay, and actually that's pretty decent. If you aim right under the front guns, you will get some pen damage because it's kind of like a shell trap, but you will still bounce quite a few shots at that kind of angle. And if you turn in even more for just the bow guns, then you can ricochet almost 95% of shells, I would say. If they're armor piercing. If they're high explosive, it doesn't matter. So there was a good salvo there, but you did see no citadels at all. You will be very hard pressed to citadel this ship. Alright, so I think I'm getting the hang of her, or back again. I'm getting some good damages. You can see here, the 16-inch guns definitely do hurt. I know the Iowa and Montana have the super heavy 16-inch shells. I think North Carolina, Massachusetts may get that as well. I'm not entirely sure. Regardless though, she can definitely have serious damaging broadsides when shooting enemy ships, especially battleships. This ship was made for crushing battleships and cruisers, and has enough AA to take on enough carriers relatively easily. Destroyers are another question. I mean, she has the good 5-inch batteries on each side, and she also has relatively good armor as well. So, like, something like this, I would maybe expect a citadel. Yeah, not even then. But I still got 26,000 damage on her. So there's not really a bad part to the ship. She has good secondaries, at least against destroyers. As you can see, they're trying to shoot this North Carolina as well. She has good AA against carriers, good guns against cruisers and battleships, and good speed, maneuverability, range. There's really not a bad part about this ship. So she may be one of the strongest battleships, at least in the American line. So we're going to switch it up. And we're going to keep working on the battleships as they come by one. Now I don't expect my secondaries to do much, if anything. And we're definitely going to take... Ooh, there's a citadel. Some secondary damage from the German battleships as they go by. But that's okay. I do have health buffs and speed buffs applied at this time as well, so keep that in mind. There's another battleship down. Though I do want to let you know that each time we're under secondary attack, that's probably more anti-aircraft guns that are being destroyed. But it's fine. It doesn't look like the carrier's focusing on us, and once it turns broadside, we can pretty much eliminate it in 1 or 2 salvos, hopefully. I'm gonna pop a heal. Next. $27,000 damage. Literally half that ship just disappeared. I don't know. Yeah, there's too many wrecks there. So let's go after the Tirpitz. Keep getting set on fire. Ooh, 31,000 damage. Good damage. Alright, so let's move forward now. Let's go handle that carrier. And then the rest of the battleships out behind them. Alright, so it looks like we got the Vanguard. Yep, she went down. So let's put another salvo into the Tirpitz. Alright, enough for the fires. Alright, and now we're starting to get the attention of the carrier. We're probably going to catch that torpedo too. Let's finish off the Tirpitz. And it looks like we've, definitely caught the attention of the carrier. So time to take her out. Let's put up one of our fighters. As you can see, I'm knocking down quite a few aircraft as well. And the squadrons that attack me, not many get back to the carrier in one piece. Now I gotta start playing around with the torpedoes because my repair is not on off cooldown yet. Dodged. And let's finish off the Shikaku. Boom. I'm not dodging that one. But no flooding. Good. Alright, so there's another North Carolina over here. So let's put another broadside into her. 16,000 damage. And we have shot down all of the aircraft. So that's 28 aircraft kills in a matter of maybe a few minutes. Yeah, the AA on the ship is an absolute beast. So we have a nice flat broadside of a Massachusetts. How much can we get? Only 24.5. Probably bring our fighter back here. The high explosive on this ship is pretty good. I know for Massachusetts, I used to just run her as an HE spamming battleship because you just light so many fires and you get so much damage from it. But honestly, the armor piercing is just really the way to go. Alright, let's go for the Vanguard. I think the rest of my team can take on that Massachusetts pretty easily. or at least they should be able to. I'll find out. 26,000 damage on the Vanguard. Yep, there goes the South Dakota, or Massachusetts, or whatever one you want to use. And Vanguard is healing, but as soon as it turns around, we will have a pretty good angle to shoot her with. Let's see what we got. Can we sink her? Probably not. Yeah, 17,000 though. So, good damage getter for this ship. You can get high amounts of damage if you know how to play right, and you can tank lots of damage as well. The main damage I took during this game was all from the secondaries from the German battleships, which was expected. And then even with my presumably damaged AA suite, I was still able to get quite a few aircraft shot down before they attacked me. So let's see how we did. 394,000 damage, almost a 400k game. 3 ships sunk, 154 shell hits, 28 aircraft shot down, 3 citadels, 1 module destroyed, 60 secondary hits, 9,000 base XP. 390,000 damage was an armor piercing. Well, did we even have a fire? We didn't have a fire. Well, we got fire damage. And then secondary battery did less than 3,000 damage. But like I said, your 5 inches are only going to be really good against destroyers and very light cruisers anyways. All in all, a very, very fun ship. If you were struggling through the earlier American battleships, this should be a breath of relief. And trust me, it only gets better. So yes, a very, very, very good ship. A very nice looking ship as well. And that will be it for today's video. If you liked the video, make sure you like and subscribe for further content. And join me tomorrow while we go over Iowa. So again, thank you for watching and take care.